So let's call this NPC Talk Part 2 since I kind of put things together. And with the 10-minute limit there, I can't ramble on enough. Okay, so let's get back to the first person I mentioned. Telling me that they never said these people's names that they said before, and it was like being stabbed with a dagger. It was like, oh my god, like it's them again. And it was the same way a few years before that they said it, and I'm like, oh my god, you're hanging out with them, I'm out of here. Like, I mean, literally, like these people have poisoned me and stuff, among worse things. Death is a great thing compared to life and torment and torture. Um, so there's much worse things than the people. I mean, the people who stabbed me and put me in intensive care and stuff. Like, I mean, it was kind of an act, but I still act like I loved them and cared about them after that. And at the same time, I also knew, like, scared for everyone else around me too. How loud they banged on the door after I fled the hospital to go back home. Yeah, so I mean, now that ties into it. What the hell's with these NPC here? What's with that one? That whole thing. That was years, and it all started with a few lies that I knew were always there. So I knew the relationship was never real at all. So I never, I tried to treat it semi-real, but no. And when I was a child, someone should tell children if people are talking to you about things like Santa Claus, Easter bunnies, and tooth fairies, there might be a reason they're manipulating you and lying to you and generating illusions. And I've come to think that when they do that, what it is it's like manipulative people trying to test who they can subvert and control. Fortunately, these people don't have the magic powers and stuff, because it'd be dangerous if they could do something. They didn't bring me 20 cheeseburgers every 5 minutes today. We're gonna kill them all with a flood. Fortunately, they don't have the magic powers and stuff. But, man, what else was it that first person did besides, they just told me that, for like months, they were showing me pictures or other conversations with other people talking about my private life and stuff. And no one knows me at all. I'm the only person who could even claim they knew something when I was a child. Claims I'm crazy for shit. Yeah, I still got copies of some of it. I remember when I was in school, and I got all those A's and stuff, and I did student month, and it was so cool and fun. And they're like, "You're crazy. You're stupid. You can't do that." And then I'm like, "Oh, but knowing who they are by this point, I'm like, but it was thanks to your expert tutelage that I could become so smart, and I want to thank you for that." And they're like, "Oh, okay, thank you." What the fuck? To be honest, I'm kind of just rambling, because I think they've already explained to me the 7 personalities that they've designed the AI with. They explained it through psychology, and I used to be like, I'm still like, psychology, that's not for living beings. A living being doesn't have a pattern, and if they need to break it, they're going to break it. And that happens to me all the time. I do or not do really mostly whatever I want. And so I never understood that. But working with these other people, I can understand. And I've been seeing it so long. And especially the timing, they would try to re-educate me on psychology over and over. Like things appearing, forcing me into psychology classes, stuff like that. When I'm around, like one of these people, when I was around them, they did force me into a psychology class. And it wasn't actually a psychology class. It was labeled something else, but the only thing I got from it was like, damn, this is a psychology class, isn't it? And I hadn't seen everything else, so I was just like, you're like training me how to manipulate this person. And then I don't like that. Because as a living being, I do not want to manipulate things. But I think they're telling me, like, you have to. It's like I'm to record this video, I'm manipulating my device. I'm hitting the right buttons at the right time. And if I hit the wrong buttons, it's all over. It doesn't do anything. And playing a video game, it's the same thing. You hit the right buttons at the right time. There's even video games out here. And some of them are about interacting with all the people I've met. And it's like, yeah, I know every single one of those personalities. And so these are my options. And then I always take the option. I generally like, that's my favorite option in the back. Because I don't like feeling these things or seeing them or understanding them. And so if anything, like, go just, I mean, everything's gone, like, away from the one or eventually three things I wanted in this world. So it's like everything has gone a different way than I've ever wanted. You know, it's cool to enjoy car crashes and be in a lot of them, do some mud running, you know, fly down the road, fly down the freeway over 200 miles per hour. You know, I never planned on that stuff. You know, I was invited to fly in helicopters with people who are learning to fly and all. And I was more focused on other stuff at that time. I should have probably taken that chance. But, because then I can say I did it. I did everything in the frickin' world except for skydive and fly a fighter jet. But, yeah, like, what's going on here? Why are the NPC, like, and being forced my way, it's like, okay, do I have a choice here? Like, I don't always have a choice. I was born into some of this NPC beatdown, enslavement type stuff. I didn't have a choice. The second I got big enough to run away from my house, I ran. And so, you know, for like 14 years, I didn't have a choice and stuff. And maybe someone could have came and told me when I was 4 years old, like abducted me from my crib or something. You know, that could have helped, I think. Could have told me when I'm like 8, like, hey, like, come here, I got some candy in my van. And then get in the van, and I'm like, hey, man, it's pretty good candy. He's like, we're going to take you to a better place. And I'm like, all right, man, we're going to the arcade? And they're like, yeah, we're going to the arcade, bro. Cool. That would be excellent. But it didn't. So there's like 14 years of the forced, incessant NPC beatdown shit. Fucking, just total trampling of existence. So by the time I was 14, the only thing I had learned from life was fuck this world. And fucking, it's time to fight this world. Maybe that's the point. I really try to gather a point from it. And it's like, wow, look at your life. You have been doing that. That your skills on that level are off the fucking charts. No one's been where you've been and done what you've done unless they're like a world leader of a commanding, general of an army or something like that, and you're not affiliated with nothing. You're just solo. I try to wonder, like, what are these people up to? Do other people experience people like this, where just like it felt like the one has never listened to or paid attention to anything, but has constantly wanted me to hang out with it, constantly. But it never listened to anything. I can tell it's the same thing for decades. What are you up to? I'm doing this. The next day, what are you up to? I'm doing this. Oh, wow. When did you start that? A month, a year later, what are you up to? I'm doing the same thing I did last year. And they're like, what is that? Oh, I'm doing this. And I'm like, that's crazy, stupid people stuff. No one does that. You're not good enough for that. And then like 40 years later, they're like, what are you up to now? And I'm like, nothing. I mean, really, I did used to say nothing because like my life, I didn't know everyone wasn't doing everything I was. So I was just like, I don't know, nothing, the usual, like throwing cinder blocks at some people who fucking came by and, popping some wheelies. But what's with the NPC shit? And are they just being vicious or what? How do you deal with something like that?